Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for a conversation on how generative AI is going to change our world for better, and especially for security. And to have this conversation with me today is a very, very special human, someone who has had a profound impact on humanity, and I can say personally who's been one of my heroes and has shaped my career as well. I have known him best as Chief Engineer Geordi LaForge in Star Trek. However, it has been his role as host and executive producer of the beloved PBS children's series Reading Rainbow, of which LeVar is most proud. It's one of the longest-running children's television shows in history, earning over 200 awards. He's a lifelong literacy advocate, an author, an app creator, a filmmaker, a podcaster, but I would like to think of him as really someone who has shaped all minds, who has helped us think a little bit bigger, dream a little bit bigger and brighter, and who I think is one of the most important human advocates of our lifetime. It's such an honor for me to have LeVar Burton join us today. Welcome, LeVar.
Oh, Vasu, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here and sit with you. You know, Star Trek has had an amazing impact on so many lives, mine included. I grew up in Sacramento, California, and in a time where it was not all that common for me to see people on television who looked like me, right? So seeing Nichelle Nichols on the bridge of the Enterprise meant the world to me. What Gene Roddenberry was saying as a creator was that when the future came, there would be a place for me, right? And Gene's vision was so vast and progressive. Star Trek has had an amazing impact on my life as well. I genuinely believe that there was some kid who watched those original episodes of Star Trek with Captain Kirk reaching back and pulling, you know, from that Velcroed place on his hip, his communicator. Velcro because there are no pockets in the future. I know, I've been there.
Velcro.
Right? Kirk would flip open his communicator and call Scotty on the ship. Scotty, beam me up, right? Well, that child grew up, became an engineer, maybe a designer of product, and is responsible for a piece of technology more prominent on the planet than a toaster. The flip cell phone, right? Star Trek is a perfect example of what we imagine is what we create in this realm. Human beings, we are manifesting machines, and Star Trek has been responsible for helping to sow the seeds of germination for a lot of different technologies that are in use in our everyday lives today. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you to be here. And I'm really eager to talk to you about security and how AI will impact that, and how we can keep this technology as it emerges, how we can keep this technology safe for humanity.
I love that, LeVar, and I'll share a personal story. When you were talking about that child who gets molded and influenced by or has gotten by Star Trek, and how they move into the world and do something different. Well, I have been there as well. I was 9 years old. I was in India. I was born there and grew up there. And there was this show called Star Trek, which influenced me. I joined science because of Star Trek. And here we are, after all those decades, having a conversation on how Star Trek has influenced so many minds. And certainly, it is because of Star Trek that I am in technology, LeVar, and that I am in cybersecurity. But more importantly, as you talk about responsibility, it's such an important aspect, isn't it? Because what Star Trek also taught us that we have to include everyone in that conversation. Star Trek was as much a cultural show as it was a technology and science fiction show. It helped remove boundaries where boundaries should not exist. And I think that's the dialogue that we're having on generative AI. How can we use this incredible technology to benefit everyone?
All of humanity.
All of humanity, to include everyone.
Yes.
And to be built by everyone. And I think a lot of those roots, personally, go back to Star Trek. And you have been an incredible hero in my life. So it's just amazing to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, the real truth is that one of the principal tenets of Star Trek is the Prime Directive, right?
do no harm.
Do no harm. Do no harm. And so the idea that we really do need to put guardrails around our behavior is not new to us. And so as an artist, as a creative, I'm fairly concerned about this new and emerging technology and how it will be used and how it can be used and how it shouldn't be used as well.
I think that's so critical because we have this technology, which I believe is going to be one of the most consequential technologies of our lifetime. It has this incredible superpower to shape humanity in ways that we have not done before. To the points that you've always made, LeVar, and what you symbolize in this world, helping us dream bigger, helping us think bigger, imagine possibilities that we haven't before. But to do all that, it has to be done responsibly.
Responsibly.
And this is why I'm so excited about security, because today it's such a fundamental challenge that is facing us all. You know, think about Maslow's hierarchy. If you don't feel safe, because it's right there with food, water, shelter, if you don't feel safe, you can't really live your life or be empowered to do what you need to do.
To live to your highest level of expression.
Exactly. And that's why security is so critical, because I think one of the best use cases of AI is going to be security. It's going to help us tilt the balance in favor of defenders and do things we haven't been able to do before.
Yeah, it's part of a long history of emerging technologies in humanity. You know, this whole communications thing that we do as humans began with cave paintings, right? And then we developed spoken language, and the oral tradition sort of governed everything we knew about ourselves and the world around us for centuries. And you know, then we moved on. We moved into the written word. And when Gutenberg printed the first Bible, we were off and running in a whole new way of living in this world with technology, right? And then we went on to the cool fire of television and computers. And now we are in a whole new ball game where you can speak into a machine and have imagery produced based on an accumulation of everything the machine has ever ingested. It's frightening as well as exciting.
It is, and I love that you walked us through from paintings, from cave paintings, all the way to the internet and now beyond. And what's interesting about each of these transformations is that the time it takes us to do that keeps shrinking. It took 6 years or a little over that for 100 million users to start using the internet. And when ChatGPT, which was the first generative AI tool, was released, it was 2 months when it reached 100 million users. So you just think about the pace of adoption of technology. So what is different about this generative artificial intelligence AI than before is that it can create content. And going back to what you said, we have to do that responsibly, because in its best form, it elevates the human potential that we have never, like never before. LeVar, I spend a lot of my times in meetings because we are such a meetings culture. And gosh, it takes a lot of time to summarize these meetings. It takes a lot of time to give actions to these meetings, make notes. AI helps me with that. It does it automatically. Sometimes when you want to write an email to someone and you want to find the right words, it can help you with that content. And then there's domains like security, where it's been such a challenge. I'll give you an example. Every second, our world is facing 4,000 password attacks. So as we sit here having this conversation, there are threat actors who are constantly attacking people in the digital sphere. Well, AI can help with that because it can now help defenders be a great co-pilot to these defenders, help them pass through these reels and reels of data, really simplify the complex, find that needle in the haystack, or sometimes that perfect needle in a stack of needles. It can help them catch what others may have missed. And most importantly, it can reduce the talent shortage that the security industry has faced, including diversity. And so it can really reduce the barriers for talent and can help everyone be a defender now. And so I think this generative AI technology is such an inflection point for our world, and especially such an inflection point for security. So as I think of AI in these different use cases, I'm curious about how do you think AI is going to shape our world?
Well, I was and have been a real proponent of using technology and putting it to use in the service of education, right? Reading Rainbow was a television show. Technology was television back in the day, and so it was counterintuitive to use television to promote reading and literature and literacy, but it made sense to me. And I'll tell you why. My first job as an actor was in a television miniseries called Roots. I played Kunta Kinte in the miniseries. And in 8 nights of television, Vasu, I experienced this nation becoming changed, transformed around our common idea of what we mean when we talk about chattel slavery in America. In 8 nights of TV, this culture was changed, transformed through the power of storytelling, right? Through the power of technology, technological storytelling. And so when the idea was brought to me that we could use this very powerful engagement device, right, to actually help turn children who could read into readers for life, I was all in. It made perfect sense to me, having just experienced firsthand the sheer power of the medium. So my hope, my prayer is that generative AI can help us educate our kids in ways that we haven't been able to and perhaps haven't even thought of. But the important thing for me is that it be safe and used equitably, that everyone have access to it. We have a huge problem with a gap in our access to technologies right now around the world. And we're at the forefront of this new and burgeoning technology. We have to build in at the very beginning use for all, like you said before, use for all.
You know, LeVar, you're going to love our mission at Microsoft because it is to empower every single person and organization in the world to achieve more. And our Microsoft security mission is to build a safer world for all. Underscore that for all, because to the point that you're making, you know, for us to dream big, to think big, first we need to know, well, what is that big? And that starts with education. That starts with understanding this world around us. And we have to include all, because as we build AI, if we do not include everyone in it, it may just serve a certain type of population inadvertently. And this is one of the reasons that Microsoft has really embraced and even put forward the responsible AI framework. It has 6 pillars that is built on, including security and privacy, but it expands to fairness, it expands to inclusivity, it expands to safety. All of these pillars are really important for us to think about how can we take technology, which at its best can provide accessibility to everyone, no matter who you are. You're a little girl or you're a little boy in some corner of the world, and you can use this technology to think big. Gosh, wouldn't that be amazing?
Of course it would be, and it will be. I mean, I can see it happening from where we sit now. But I do have concerns, and I'm really glad that you all are thinking in this way about the sort of importance that everyone be a part of, not just the use of it, but the development of it, right? We all need to feel safe in this new arena.
We need to feel safe, and we need to have a voice, and we need to have a seat at the table as we define this. We have to understand all cultures. I love what you said earlier about culture as well. Even security, bringing it back home to the place I live the most, it's a human challenge. It's a social challenge. It's a culture challenge as much as it's a technology challenge. And that's why we need everyone to participate. At Microsoft, we say we are building security for all. Well, what does that mean? That means we believe every single person and every single organization in the world deserves to feel safe, deserves. And it is our responsibility and duty to help with that. We believe that every single human who wants to be in security should have the tools to be a defender. no matter who you are, no matter when you want to start, if you're just like starting out from school or you've been in the industry for decades, some of my greatest inspirational stories, Lavars, are when I've met a refugee, or I've met a mother who's been out of the workforce, or have met like a 10-year-old daughter of one of our employees who raises their hand and says, I want to be a security defender. Isn't that incredible? And I think with this generative AI technology, we have this technology we call Copilot, because it's not an autopilot.
It's a Copilot.
It's a Copilot. And with this technology, Copilot for security, I'm so hopeful that we can build something which everyone can use to get educated. Imagine AI being a great teacher for you, to teach you like cybersecurity.
Yeah.
It can make it equitable. Everyone deserves a great life. They deserve to have the ability to fulfill their dream, to live to their highest potential and purpose. And it has its potential to make it easy for defenders, make them faster, make them better, make them productive. Because honestly, cybercrime is an $8 trillion plus anti-economy today. Can you imagine if we just take a portion of that and turn it towards good?
Redirect it.
Redirect it. Sustainability, hunger, poverty. Gosh, wouldn't that be a better world? And that's why Microsoft is in security, because I think collectively, together, we have to use generative AI and the technologies that we have to change this course, storytelling, the narrative, to change the narrative to one of optimism, to one of hope, to one of inclusion, to one of for all and be all and done by all. So I'm excited about that. And that's why we're doing what we're doing on generative AI.
Your passion is infectious, Vasu, really. And you're a very comforting voice to me right now. As you express your insistence that this be a really accessible technology, ecumenical, available to all, it's really important to me. Because at the end of the day, I feel this way about most technologies. Technology in and of itself has no soul, right? We need the human element to be a part of these emerging technologies, because it is our humanity that we are serving. And so to take the human out of the equation makes no sense to me. And as an artist, it makes zero.
Totally.
It's no fun.
Totally, because all these technologies are here to help that human essence, and that we are all on the side of good, right? We all have to work together. When we think of even things like who are we competing with in security, we think about all these cyber attackers who are doing harm. So I think we all have to get together and build this. And to your point, which I love the word, responsibly, like what does that look? How do we be thoughtful about it? How do we make sure that we are working across the world? Governments, public sector, private sector, small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses, consumers, artists, the creative force behind this, to preserve that is just quintessentially human, and to have all the tools we need to even take this potential to the next level. This is why it's so special to have you here, because it starts right here with Star Trek. You know, that whole mission of to boldly go where no one has gone before. Oh my God. I don't know of many missions that are more inspirational and powerful. And you all made that happen. You influenced so many people in the world, including me. I'm a living example of that. To go and change the world in a good way. Yeah. In a good way. I always say change the world have to have three other ways, like in good ways. But you know, that's what it is about, right? It is about, and you didn't do it alone. You did it with your Star Trek crew. Absolutely. And we need a village to do this, a great village, a village which holds us accountable, which has these dialogues, which we learn. We are in that growth mindset as we are constantly improving. But it's really exciting. And as we kind of come to a close on our conversation today, I wanted to ask you one last question. What gives you the most hope for our world today? Like, what inspires you, Lavar?
Wow. It is the younger generation, you know, that are coming up in a world full of technology. I didn't grow up in a world that was dominated by technology the way that my children and grandchildren are. And their ethics give me hope.
Yes.
The way that they see the world and see themselves as living very much in concert with technology, that gives me hope that we're going to be okay. My generation, we're sort of in between. We've experienced a lot of change, but not nearly the change that my kids and their cohorts are experiencing. The world is moving a lot quicker now than it was when I was growing up. And so I'm putting my faith and stock in passionate people like yourself who care about the world at large and want to see the world be a fair and equitable place for all of humanity. And I'm looking to the generations coming up to execute faithfully and with good intentions.
Yeah, and beautifully said, as always. Your words are so powerful. And like you, I have so much hope as I look at this next generation and even the generation right now as we're changing our thinking of what a great world looks like, a safe world looks like. And I have hope that we can put security at the forefront, because security and safety are tied together, and we can do things in a responsible way. And that's why I'm excited about generative AI for security. So as we close this conversation, I think we would together, I hope, invite everyone to join us in building a safer world, a responsible world, a world where we can use AI to do such great things. And I think AI and cybersecurity is a together game. And I'm so grateful to have you in this together journey with me. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, my extreme and joyous pleasure. It's lovely to be with you.
Thank you.